Welcome to the 147th episode of Show Me the Crypto. On this week's episode, we chat with Jason Goldberg, who is the founder and CEO of Airstack, which is responsible for building the Moxie protocol. And this was a great conversation where we dove into all things about the creator economy, creating creator tokens, how AI has come into play. Alf, what were your biggest takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, talking about what has been built with Moxie to support creators, but more than that, like also fans. They've really created something interesting that seems to be working. It's really taking off, and it's a way for creators, whether you're a creator, crypto native using Farcaster or on X, wherever you create, there are now options to create your own coin and support yourself and your fan base, and your fans can earn this way too. So that's all super interesting, and how we covered that. We also talked a lot about Moxie's, and this is new, but they've just had an auction because they've integrated AI agents into the Moxie ecosystem, and so that creators can now use AI agents to even further their sort of the ways that they create and how they interact with these agents in terms of, whether they want to get alpha on specific coins, or maybe they want to just simply have support in creating their content. There's so many different skills and ways that these AI agents are going to be able to support them. And so that was all super interesting. And then furthering that into what does it mean to have AI and AI agents in the crypto ecosystem and in our world in general? What does it mean for creators? So we sort of hypothesized and talked a little bit about the future as well. All that was very interesting for me.
Those of you who have listened to a few of our episodes this year in 2025, you will know that this is clearly a theme. AI agents, a lot of different projects working on this. So it was fascinating to hear Jason's take. Plus, he has quite an interesting backstory himself. He dropped out of college to work on the Clinton campaign. He worked in the White House for 6 years. He was this close to buying $50,000 worth of Bitcoin when it was $2, and then he didn't. And at the end of the episode, he gives a prediction of what the price of Bitcoin will be 10 years from now. A great interview from start to finish. We hope you enjoy.
Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto.
In a world on the brink of disruption, two men will bring you clarity by interviewing some of the most intelligent and influential names in the blockchain world. Welcome to Show Me the Crypto with your hosts, Wade Patterson and Ulf Lonergan.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Show Me the Crypto. My name is Wade Patterson.
And I'm Ulf Lonergan.
We're a couple of friends from Canada who love learning about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and we're happy you're along for the ride. Whether you're a crypto virgin or you know your way around the block, we hope our interviews with some of the most intelligent and influential people in the blockchain space help deliver you with value. And on this episode, we're joined by Jason Goldberg, founder and CEO of Airstack, which is responsible for developing the Moxie protocol for Farcaster. Jason has been an entrepreneur for more than 2 decades, but his career started when he dropped out of college to work on Bill Clinton's campaign before going on to work at the White House for 6 years. Jason's first company, Social Median, created the first social media news feed. Today, his focus is on Moxie, which is a community-governed Farcaster economic engine with a mission to help Farcaster members and communities prosper. Jason, welcome to Show Me the Crypto.
Thanks so much. Great to be with you guys.
Yeah, excited for this conversation. And I want to start right there on dropping out of college to go work on the Clinton campaign. And what's interesting, what I didn't mention in that bio is my understanding, once you were working in the White House, you were also finishing up college credits. I think you were in the chief of staff's office when the Monica Lewinsky said, can you just break down what happened there?
I would say that, I've had, I've seen more in my 20s than most people see in their entire lives. I was 19 years old when Bill Clinton was first running for president, and I was just enamored with like getting. It was George Bush Sr. That's how old I am. Was George Bush Sr. was the president. I was enamored with getting him out of the office, getting Bill Clinton into office. And I was at college at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, and I kept calling the Clinton campaign in Little Rock, Arkansas at the time, and saying, "Hey, I really want to work for you guys. Really want to work for you guys." And they're like, "Well, unless you can like quit school and go to New Hampshire, we don't have anything for you." And I wasn't ready to do that. And then miraculously, one day, a couple months later, they called me up and they said, "Hey, the governor's wife, Hillary Clinton, is coming to Atlanta, where my school was. Can you drive her around for a couple of days?" And so I ended up driving Hillary Clinton around for a couple of days. And next thing I know, the campaign, weeks later says, "Hey, you got to join the campaign. She loved you. The team loved you." And as I dropped out of school the next day, I went on the Clinton campaign. I was one of the first 30 people on the campaign. It was they used to be back before the Obama years where like lots of young people on campaigns. Like literally I was the youngest person on the campaign. There was only, I started really early. I was flying around the whole country with Clinton, set up events everywhere, bus trips. I pretty much visited almost every state in the United States. And then we won the White House, and I didn't want to give that up. So I figured out a way to basically finish college from the White House, and then I worked at the Chief of Staff's office for a couple of years. I was there during the Monica Lewinsky period. I almost went to law school once and decided not to. I never want to be a lawyer, I decided. And then I had applied to some business schools and wasn't sure if I was going to go. And then the day that the Monica Lewinsky news broke, I literally said, "Okay, Stanford Business School, here I come. I'm out of here." Then I went up business school in Stanford, and that was right at the height of the .com boom as well. So I had like a bird's eye view, and like the first, like the craze that we're seeing right now, like every crypto cycle, like right now, like it was just recent, like the meme coin cycle, Trump coin, kind of pump.fun, AI coins. That was nothing compared to what we experienced back in the .com boom. But this, so I'm familiar with a lot of kind of cycles and what it means. We can talk about what that means right now with crypto and AI. But yeah, I've had quite the career, and I've also started a number of companies since then as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into some of that in this conversation. But first, a little more just for how you got into the space. Like, at what point did you discover crypto, and like how did it come on your radar?
Yeah, I'd say two things. One is in 2012. My spouse and I at the time, we said, like, we agreed we were going to buy $50,000 in Bitcoin. And we talked about it 3 or 4 times and we never did. And we always just kind of kicked ourselves for that. But
what would that have been, to cut you off? What would that have been? Do you know roughly?
We probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Right? I think it was like Bitcoin was like $10. Right? It was like insane.
Wow! Oh my God!
Yeah. I mean, this is So this is in 2012. It was insane. And I think it was less than that. It was like $2 or $3 even. Like it was like really like nothing. And so we would. I mean, as much as I like you guys and like just love what I'm working on now, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
I was going to say all the more reason to have the conversation. We really want to
exactly. Yeah. But then I will tell you. So I sold a company in 2015, early 2016, and it was called hem.com. It was a private label furniture design marketplace. And I was living in Berlin. That's where we had a hem headquartered. We had like offices and manufacturing all around Eastern Europe. And in Berlin was like the epicenter at the time for Ethereum. The first place that you could buy like a burger with Bitcoin was like down the street from where I lived in Berlin on Greifstrasse. There was the core like developers, like Eat Berlin was the place. Like think about like what Eat Denver is now, where everyone kind of converges on. It was Eat Berlin back then. And I had a lot of friends who like I'd met who like were kind of really getting involved in the space there. And I had like in my mind, I really wanted to disrupt the idea. I wanted to like disrupt the whole creator economy. That was like the thing I just got like really like kind of like obsessed with. And the idea I had was essentially that, instead of creators making money through platforms like Instagram and Facebook and, YouTube and TikTok, all that kind of stuff, and the platforms taking most of the money. And what if the creators could have direct relations with their fans and do so in a way where it's like win-win for everybody involved? Which, by the way, is like the concepts of Moxie right now. So like we've been working on Moxie for 9 years, essentially. And so we created these concepts back in 2016. And I very quickly realized, okay, the way to do this was with Ethereum, powered by EVM, just smart contracts. Like I became kind of enamored with the whole kind of the design space of Ethereum. And so middle 2016, I became like completely red pilled on Ethereum. And what was really cool is so we had a company called Peepo that we started in 2016 that was to build this kind of new creator economy. And we got going working on it. And we actually first built like a Web 2 kind of app. And we had, a couple 100,000 users of it. We then started working on like the centralization aspects of it. And that's when we realized like, okay, one is it's really cool. The other is like we are way too early. Like it was just like so like the first thing was like, whoa, okay, if someone was going to, let's say, tip or kind of move tokens to someone whenever they like a creator's content, there's no way you could do that on Ethereum mainnet. It would just be so costly. So we actually started building all this infrastructure. We kind of we launched this protocol called OpenST, called for Open Simple Token, and the idea was that anyone could create a creator coin on this open protocol that would be backed by a single coin, which by the way is exactly how Moxie works today, right? So just like, today there's like 9,500 creator coins on Moxie with like a 25 million market cap of them. And it works exactly that way. So think like, they talk about people like, if you believe in something, just keep at it and keep at it. It's like part of like the story here. So we just realized we were way too soon. So we started building all this infrastructure. We built one of the first layer 2 scaling solutions for Ethereum before there was anything like Optimism or Base or anything like that. We built wallet technology because wallets just weren't there yet as well. We actually then launched a new version of the Peepo app, which was built on OpenST in 2019 at DevCon in Osaka. And it was the first app accepted by Apple in the App Store that had a smart contract wallet embedded in it. So it basically enabled people to do seamless on-chain transactions before we used the word on-chain, before we even mentioned the words account abstraction. So my point in all of this is like, we were building all the right stuff just super, super, super fucking early. And so now it's like really cool. Now it's like cool because like at the time I was like, okay, the puzzle pieces that would make this whole thing work, I was like, okay, if we had layer 2s, then you could have like, like high speed, low cost transactions. If you had great wallets, then you could like embedded wallets even, then you could have like, really seamless user kind of like transactions that like normies could just use it, right? They like feel like you're using any other app. And then the piece I didn't realize then, but like right that we realized like over the last couple of years, that if you then combine that with AI, boom, right? Then you could really just make magic happen. And that's like the convergence of that is like where Moxie is today. And in the introduction that you guys did, it talked a lot about Farcaster. And I said like we incubated Moxie on Farcaster over the last 7 months. But one of the biggest things that we did over the last couple months is right before Christmas, we opened up Moxie to be more than just Farcaster, basically across all of Base, and enable anyone on X to come onto Moxie and create a creator coin. And we actually, in November of last year, we put together this like 1-2 punch of our strategy for this year. Like the first punch was like expand beyond just Farcaster, enable anyone to participate in the Moxie ecosystem. The second was to fast follow with this really magical utility around kind of crypto and AI. I'll tell you that we're around on both those, and I'll shut up and let you guys ask some questions. But so on the first one, we opened up to all of Base, allowed people on X to start creating creator coins and participate in the Moxie ecosystem right before Christmas. So it's like not too long ago, like 6 weeks maybe. At the time, we had about 3,000 creator coins on Moxie that were created in Farcaster. We're at now 9,500. So it's tripled in 6 weeks, right? So it's like been fantastic, right? And the market cap of those creator coins, so people can buy these creator coins on the Moxie platform, went from about 4 million to about 25 million during that period. So it's just like crazy. And then our team, Airstack, who builds Moxie, we were actually the first to really kind of pioneer crypto and AI. Back in 2022, we built the first AI-powered search engine for blockchains. You could search with Airstack and say, show me what tokens are trending today on Base, or what Vitalik is trading, or what's in this portfolio, and compare. Like we built all this stuff for the last couple of years, and so we're rolling out now, which is like all the excitement is about, like today, literally, as we record this, is we're rolling out Moxie personal AI agents. Basically, every user on Moxie gets their own agent. And this agent, I think about it's almost like, it's not like these chatbots you're seeing on Twitter right now. It's more like things that are very personal to you. So your agent knows you, it knows your wallets, it knows your trades, your portfolios, it knows who you follow on social. It can get market intelligence for you. It can basically cut across and say, here's what you need to know across X, Farcaster, what's happening on chain, and it can trade for you as well. And over the last 2 weeks, we've been gradually like demoing these agents. I mean, it's a real verticalization of AI. in the kind of crypto AI space, and very personal and like high intelligence, like helps you make better, smarter on-chain kind of actions. And we've been demoing it over the last couple of weeks, like live demos of our team showing off the functionality. And during that period, like the attention on Moxie is just skyrocketed. So we've seen like the Moxie token, which we have, which powers all this, has grown by about 500% in the last 3 weeks. And literally, you see every time we demo the product, and more people buy the token because they're excited about the project. And it's kind of crescendoing. Like we're recording this today on the 13th of February. We just finished a 24-hour auction for people to be able to buy a kind of a Moxie creator coin to deploy your Moxie AI token. And like, it was just nuts. Like, it's like, $1.7 million worth of Moxie was bid in this auction in 24 hours. And then the next step is in 7 to 10 days, probably around the time you release this, we're going to let people start using their agents, which is super cool. And then we can talk about where that goes. So there's a thing called the skills marketplace that I actually think is the biggest part of this, but I'll shut up and let you guys ask me some questions.
No, I love the cadence, Jason, because it's funny. We have some questions that we had in mind, but you're just kind of ticking them one off at a time as you're explaining these things. So this is the exact cadence we were hoping for. So can you just get into that? Like, what will people actually be able to do with these agents? What's the skills marketplace?
Yeah. So essentially think about, what we've done is we built these agents all based on, if you're familiar with the ELIZA AI16Z team, the ELIZA framework, basically everything is a plugin. So everything's like an open source plugin. And our team built, let me give like an analogous way to think about it. Think about like on your iPhone or your Android phone, there's kind of core functionality that's on the OS. And then there's apps that are built by, let's say, the Apple team or the Android team. And then anyone can build apps and can submit apps in the App Store. We've kind of taken that approach to these agents. So think about this as like everyone gets an agent. So Jason gets an agent, Wade gets an agent, Ulf gets an agent. And those agents have core functionality across all the agents. And they also know everything about you. And then they have like this kind of like the set of skills that are kind of built in from the beginning that our team built. Or they can, read portfolios, they can analyze trades, they can get social sentiments from X and from Farcaster, they can trade on your behalf, following your instructions. And so that's like core functionality. And then we set this up in a way where, because we built all these essentially skills as ELIZA plugins, any developer can also submit a skill as well that then gets integrated into the Moxie kind of ecosystem. So Wade, you might decide, for instance, that you want to get a skill of like, I'll tell you how you buy the skill in a second, but you like get the skill of like looking at like what podcasts your friends are listening to this week, right? And if you might be like more like your skill is you want to get like the whale hunting skill, right? And every skill gets a token. And so developers launch skills into Moxie. Each one gets a token in the Moxie platform as well. And the developers essentially, win whenever you're buying, because they get a percentage of the tokens whenever you're buying their skills and adding it to your agent. But once you have like these skills, every agent takes on its own flavor. That like I might not care about the podcast skill, but I might be really into the whale skill, or I might be into, let's say, a skill that helps me negotiate with KOLs, wherever it might be. They're just can basically go in any direction you want. And essentially, think about it's an app store for agent plugins. We call them skills. And every skill has a token. So as opposed to the traditional app store on like, iOS and Android, it's not just the users who are paying for the apps. Anyone can also speculate on which kind of apps or skills they think are going to be successful, which is pretty exciting as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. I can't help but think of, this is a little more higher level analogy, but this totally makes me think of the Matrix. This is like Neo uploading his new skill against Morpheus to, I know Kung Fu now. So that's where we're getting to, which is great.
I mean, and the agents can do things for you too, right? So like we get a point where agents like today, like the Moxie agents can trade for you. The next release, like the agent will actually be able to just like track certain social sentiments and automatically trade for you. Now imagine like then you have thousands of those agents that are all out there doing this work for people, all trying to get the alpha and kind of race each other. Then it becomes really interesting. Like it's not going to be trading; it can be playing games against each other. It can do all sorts of things, betting against each other. There's so many places you can take this.
Yeah, it gets crazy. And I do want to talk, that's actually my next question, is in terms of the trading for you, because sounds simple in concept. You get an agent that trades for you, but there's actually a lot, like, I feel like in terms of from the human side, the user side, you're like, okay, I'm going to give up like I'm going to give access to my wallet to an AI agent that's going to spend my crypto and buy me tokens. And what if it fucks up and loses a ton of crypto? So what's involved in, because like I feel like that's a scary step for a lot of people to actually take. Maybe you just start small, but like tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah.
And like,
I think what you said there is like the right thing. Like it'll be a step-by-step process, right? And so, and think that step-by-step happens both as users get more comfortable and as agents get smarter. And those things converge like, together, right? At some point. So to start, the easy thing is you can just like, your agent, like in the version that we're like have right now in our kind of alpha testing that launch next week, the agent will, if I say, hey, what's hot right now? It'll tell me like what's going on, like what people are talking about on Twitter, X, on Farcaster. It'll narrow it down to the creators, the people that I care the most about. It'll also tell me what they're trading. And then could look at their portfolios and see like their P&Ls. And then I can then just say to it, hey, buy me, 10 of this or 5 of this, or take from what's my, like you basically fund an agent wallet. You can tell your agent like spend 50% of my wallet on this coin and 30% on this coin. And it'll just do that. And that in itself is really like efficient because you don't need to go and, kind of sign everything on every trade because it's an embedded wallet. It just does it for you. You don't need to go look up contract addresses. We've done this all the kind of this whole thing where you just use like the $sign and it kind of rationalizes it, show you which token you'd be buying. And that's just like saving you time and effort. It's like you do the analysis and you do the buys all at the same time. The next step is you'll then be able to place limit orders and we call social alpha orders. So the idea is like, hey, if Wade and Ulf and Jesse all buy the same token within 10 minutes, I want you to buy me $500 of it, right? And obviously there's more nuances to that, but then you can also say, okay, and if it rises by 30%, take 20% profits from me or whatever it is, right? And so it's like just basically giving your agent instructions. And then it'll get smarter and smarter from there, right? It could be like, buying TWAPs. It could be like say, hey, and I think what will happen next is like people will start saying, hey, here's $1,000 agent trade on my behalf, or here's $5,000 trade on my behalf. And then it'll become more and more and more as your agent is showing like results. And I think we'll walk our way there step by step. Yeah.
It's so fascinating because Moxie's got a lot of things going right now, right? Like with the integration of AI and all of that. I want to circle back to creator coins a little bit. And the question is like, how can a typical creator, like you think about us, we have a podcast, how could we leverage this? And how do you ensure that those who are buying the token, like how do fans benefit? Is it pure speculation? How does that work?
Yeah, so this is a great question. So one of the things is like, so anyone can create a creator coin today on the Moxie platform. And the intent is that like first of all, you as the creator, you get a percentage of your coins, right? So that just happens by default. There's like an auction at first, and then 5% of the proceeds goes to give you your coin. So, and then you also get fees whenever someone is buying or selling your coin. So the more transaction volume is that you're basically getting a 0.5% on every order, right? That just happens as part of it. And then the platform's open and created in a way where anyone can then create all sorts of like utilities or functions or benefits you can give for your fans. Like there's a number of them on Farcaster, whether it's like, here's live streams that are only available to my fans, or here's like, NFT drops that are only available to my fans. But the idea is like, that's completely open and anyone can build anything. And we work with a lot of teams to build all sorts of interesting utilities. The agents make it a whole other kind of exciting element in the sense that when the way we set up the agents and the social alpha is that the agents know whether someone owns your coin or not. And we're using this, for instance, with the social alpha skill that it can be, if I ask, let's say, for kind of, deep insights into your trades or your tweets or your Farcaster activity, it'll give me like a rapid instant analysis if I own your coin. But if not, it'll say, here's a summary level I can give you. Now you take that a step further, someone could extend that to any other type of skill that they create in the Moxie system. So for instance, it could be that if you own the, show me the crypto, token, right? That you can get, 5-minute AI, instant summaries of every podcast. Or you can also get like maybe insights that like maybe only the fans can get as to what the next podcasts are, or maybe a release before the agent kind of gives like a summary of the podcast after they're recorded a week before the release, whatever it might be. But anything like that can be built and kind of really apply the fan model to it, like kind of it's just out of the box essentially.
So, Jason, one thing I'm curious about a little bit, and you kind of mentioned this going back, that you had this vision in the future of, you were building all of these things, but you were too early. And I'm just curious, I had a bit of a similar entry. So 2016, what onboarded me to crypto was a platform blockchain called Steemit. Are you familiar with that?
Of course, it was one of the first things that I studied when I was working on these concepts. Absolutely.
Interesting. So you know this well.
Yeah.
And one of the problems with it, like, it was great. It's what got me interested. I'm still around, so I can't throw too much shade at it. But what I did find is that when you add monetization in, sometimes it kind of disrupts the natural or the true social media experience, if you want to call it that. And so do you see any downside with like the financialization? Or, I mean, as you were just mentioning, there's perks and there's other things beyond maybe money involved, but like, how do you see that?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And first of all, I was a big Steemit fanboy and really studied hard. And also, I thought that they did a lot of things well, and I thought there were a lot of things where like I kind of like, okay, this is not going to work. And I think having its own blockchain was like way too early for that, and like it should have been built like on Ethereum as a L2 and et cetera, et cetera. But cool concepts, right?
Yeah.
And like really studied it hard. Like, and we built the OpenST and the PIPO kind of white papers. So it was very heavily influenced by our learnings from Steemit. I think what you said is like financialization. First, everything is financialized. It's just like how implicit versus explicit. And we've seen, like, for instance, with Moxie on Farcaster, we've seen certain applications of it where it's like, if you do this, you get that. And you see like people follow the incentives, like pay to, right? And so I don't think it's a question of like, I think financial incentives are an important part of all sorts of kind of market dynamics and behaviors. It's just trying to figure out the right way to introduce them, and the right kind of I don't know, exact kind of way the levers work. And so if it's overly explicit, you're gonna get people to do just exactly what you're rewarding. And you'll also see like crypto is like very roughly known for farmers, right? Because farmers kind of look at, how do I exploit the financial incentives? And so I'd say it's part of the puzzle pieces is for developers, entrepreneurs, to try to figure out, how do you tokenize, but in a way where it doesn't skew the experience in a way that kind of like it crashes under its own weight. It's always an interesting challenge, and it's one we think about working all the time, Moxie. Yeah.
It is a super interesting challenge, and I think as we, what you're doing right now is figuring out those challenges and offering a system that clearly a lot is working here. I'm curious though, a new challenge, if you will, is with AI agents, breaking into everyday life now and being, getting big prominence on X. There's AI agents getting notoriety everywhere. They're almost becoming better than at least a lot of humans at creating content people are interested in. So what happens to the creator economy? Like, is there fear, or do we need to be worried about AI agents sort of becoming the creators and taking our jobs in this sense too?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first step is like the approach that we take is like, how do we've always called them creator agents internally, to kind of say like, how do we help, or we're building like, first of all, just like OpenAI, ChatGPT is really, really good, right? So no one needs to build at this point a generalized AI agent. Now, if you build a vertical AI agent, you say, how do you kind of focus the kind of expertise of that agent and the capabilities around a specific vertical? And the vertical that we've chosen is like, crypto beats kind of creators is like the space that we want to own, right? And so we always think about, okay, how do we build agents that enable creators to create better, to earn better, to trade better, to make their lives more kind of efficient, right? And to help them with their livelihood. So we never really think about it as replacing the creator. We're kind of making the creator's life work better, right? And like even like today, whenever I do a lot of writing, I do a lot of posting, the first thing I always do when I kind of write something is I actually write my drafts in ChatGPT today, and then and we want to get a place where like what creators are doing is they're using Moxie AI to get that alpha that they need in order to be better creators, to get deals done, to kind of make more business. And so that's the lens that we think it through. I don't think it's necessarily about agents taking jobs away from creators. I think it's more about the creators who figure out how to harness these technologies will get advantaged. And then same thing with, on chain with traders, it's like people who figure out how to use this technology to their advantage will do well. And I think the whole market will come along. And then the agent to agent stuff is going to be super interesting. Yeah.
Jason, this has been a great conversation. In a second, we're going to ask you 3 questions that we ask every single guest of Show Me the Crypto. So we'll get to those in a second. But just before that, I'm curious, taking a step back, you're somebody who's been at least aware of the crypto space. Damn it that you didn't buy Bitcoin back in 2012, but you've been aware of the space for quite a long time. And so you've seen a lot of different cycles. What are your thoughts on where we're currently at? Like, does this feel like a bull run? Does it feel like a bear market? And on top of that, what do you think is a trend that will dominate 2025?
Yeah, so I'll say that I'll combine in one. I really believe that like the long-term vision and mission of crypto was always utility. And I'm a huge believer in that. And I believe that this is the year that we are going to bring kind of like, so much of the world on chain. It's going to be because of actual value that they achieve through on-chain applications like Moxie and others. So I really think like this is the year that a lot of that everyone's going like, where's the utility? Where's the utility? Where's the apps? And this is the year we're going to start to really realize that utility. And to answer the first part of your question, because it ties into that, it's like, the reason I think so is one is I see the things that we're building. I see the use cases. I see the value that they create. And I see the pieces that have been coming together that have been enabled by things such as, faster chains, faster transactions, cheaper transactions, better wallets, better on ramps. Like I see all this AI now, all these things converging. Actually decentralized social networks you can distribute and things onto, even platforms like X being more open to kind of this stuff, like all those things are converging now in a way that I think is going to make this the year of utility. And that's just going to extend. Now, where have we come from over the last 6 months? I think the last 6 months was one of the most speculative hype cycles that we've had. And the reason why is because, and this happens, as I said at the beginning of this podcast, is that this happens at the beginning of every kind of technology boom cycle. You go back to like the .com craze, like everyone is basically betting on what is going to be the utility this time. And when you see the kernel of something working, everyone jumps in and over speculates on it. So what we've seen over the last few months is first we saw Pump.Fun, right? And Pump.Fun was like, wow, something's working. Everyone's kind of going after it. Now what's working is just launching, meme coins, but literally it's like this, like, okay, there's something that people can actually do very easily. And so people jump into it, right? And they jump into it hard, right? And with meme coins, the problem is like the utility on their side wasn't there. So 99% of the coins just go to zero because it's purely speculative. We have Polymarket, similar thing. People just jump into it. Say, wow, you actually can do something with crypto now. You can bet on something, betting the election. People jump into it, right? And then the crypto AI craze that happened, basically over the last few months, people went way too hard into it because it's okay, whether it's virtuals, AIXBT, AI16Z, et cetera, this can be the start of something where actually the utility happens, right? And same thing, people like they go way too hard into it. They get crushed by some things. The Trump coin kind of came in as like blew up the market in so many ways because it was like, no, it's not about utility. It's about meme coins again, right? Like, everyone jump back into the meme coins. And then everyone's like, oh shit, but this was just one giant rug pull by the president of the United States, okay? And then it's like, okay, but I lost money on Trump, or I made money, and I put it back into virtual, but then, okay, there's like 10,000 virtual agents, and maybe 5 of them are gonna be successful, so what happens to the other rest of them? And so, long story short, is I think we're still at the very beginning of a big cycle. And I think that cycle is going to be more and more around kind of people betting on things they think could be like, it's like essentially investors are betting on things that they think could be the next, whether it's the next OpenSea would be the first like level, or the next Open AI would be the level like way. They're betting on things to be massive, right? And I think that's going to happen in crypto and AI.
I like that description. As I mentioned, 3 questions to end every episode of Show Me the Crypto. We call it You Had Me at Crypto. Ulf is going to ask you those questions.
Go for it.
All right. The first question, who's your favorite person to follow in the crypto space?
Jesse Pollock. Jesse and I started crypto about the same time, and we're both kind of from that builder mentality. And we also, not ironically, we also kind of coincidentally both kind of came around the same time, around like November, December of last year, that we always were about, like, it's about the product, not about the tokens. And we both kind of came around about the same time. Like, you know what? The best marketing you can do for a crypto product is number go up. And so with it kind of like own the fact that like tokens are a big part of this industry. I'm a huge Jesse Pollock fanboy. I think the stuff that he's doing to help bring the world on chain, to help, like, Coinbase has the largest voice, the most kind of like important kind of presence in the crypto space, and how embracing it is for developers I'm a huge fan.
Nice. The second question, what will the price of Bitcoin be 10 years from today?
1.2 million.
Love it. Love the quick answer. That's great.
Yeah, I really based that calculation is about 12 times what it is today.
Nice.
Yeah.
You figured out the calculation and did the math real quick. I love it.
No, I did that last week before I talked to you. I've already had that's been my target for a while. Like about 12 times in the next 10 years. Yeah.
Well, the third and final question, what is the most underrated project in the crypto space?
Other than Moxie.
Well, okay, there's this project called Moxie that you guys should have really told about. You know, I'm so heads down, just focused on our stuff. I really don't have like a pet project that I'm on. I really just like, I believe what we're doing in Moxie is going to be worth billions, and that's what I focus on every day. And I say billions in providing actual value to users, to developers, to creators, traders, holders. Sorry, I don't have a better answer for you. Yeah.
All good. Jason, this was a fun convo. Thank you for joining Ulf and I on this episode of Show Me the Crypto.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Show Me the Crypto. Please make sure to subscribe as well as rate and review this podcast.